conditions. And although we don't know how things might look 6 months from now, you can't afford to get yourself into a box that you can't get out of.
Yeah, at the same time, you can't afford to not move, right? I mean, you've got to keep moving forward, and you got to keep making progress, because if you're not moving forward, then 6 months from now, you're going to be in a position where any startup or rebound of this economy's passed you by.
I had a call the other day from a salesperson who says, well, when do you think I can start selling again? And I just wanted to just scream, because the person happened to be in an industry that, yeah, they're going through some issues, but there's opportunities out there. And it's like, I just want to say, dude, have you just been sitting around eating nachos for the last 6 weeks? I mean, you talk about your sales muscle getting lethargic. I can only imagine when this guy eventually does get back into selling, he's going to be lost. And more importantly, his customers and prospects will just have passed him by. It's insane. I mean, I had somebody share with me a cool thought. It says, really, if you think about it, the key to turning around the economy is really in the hand of sales.
Yeah, I think it's in the hand of sales and marketing. I've said that those two departments working hand in hand, really connected to the hip, are going to be the path out. I was just talking with a friend of ours, Lisa Magnuson, and she said something that was such a light bulb for me. She said that, for most salespeople, being virtual has not been a problem. I mean, the best salespeople were never in their office anyway, right? But the challenge is, do you know how to help your customers buy virtually? Your customers may not be comfortable being in the virtual world now, not having all the decision makers in the same room, not having all the tools and resources there. And I thought, wow, that really is the problem, isn't it? It isn't how do you sell virtually, it's how do you help customers buy virtually. And I think that's going to be a really, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I think that's worth a discussion on Sales Logic.
Yeah, it really is, because it's what I call BFH. We all think of WFH, work from home, but there's BFH, buying from home. And you're right, yeah. It is really a challenge for a lot of people. So it's good when we eventually flip over and get doing an episode here in a bit. We'll have some great conversations. So, hey, Sales Logic podcast has been out there now for a couple months. I'm starting to get notes. I'm starting to hear from people. You're hearing from people. Are we going to keep doing this?
Absolutely, we want to keep doing it. I think it's I think it's more important now than it's ever been. And the reason is because what I love about the show, Mark, is that we dive into the questions. It's real-time challenges as they relate to sales with real-time solutions. I mean, every week what we cover are questions from the audience, topics that are relevant, and you and I share our expertise, back and forth. So absolutely, I think now more than ever, it's more important to do Sales Logic.
Well, it is. And I'll tell you something that really hit home the other day. 40% of all salespeople get their leads by way of trade shows. In other words, 40% of all leads come in by way of trade shows and so forth. And those have been pretty much knocked to the curb pretty much through the end of the year. I just got a notice today. Dreamforce, the biggest event of the year for not just sales, but for the convention industry, canceled for this fall.
Completely?
I got word yesterday, a major show in London for this, it was going to be late October, canceled. So pretty much, all shows are, I don't want to say dead, that's draconian, but through the end of the year. So this means salespeople, guess what? You really got to learn some new techniques. That ability to rely on marketing to do a trade show and get your leads, not going to happen. So for marketing, it's a new world for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Did both of those cancel and didn't go virtual?
I haven't heard yet on, how do you take an event, Dreamforce, 100, I don't know. Now, again, it's all over the place. Is it 110,000 or 150,000? Who knows? Once you get above 50,000, it's a lot of people. I'm sure Salesforce is going to attempt to do something virtual and do things. But you think of all of the other companies that rode off of their coattails to do events there, et cetera, and all the leads and the business that was created as a result of that. I mean, I know dozens of companies that really relied on that for a host of other things. They're gone. That's off the table.
Yeah.
And so suddenly those salespeople have really got to figure out something different. So yeah, challenge.
So all the more reasons to keep Sales Logic going. Because Mark, I know we're going to cover those topics, and we're going to cover so many more topics as they relate to the constant and immediate challenges facing sales professionals today. But I think it might be a good idea right now if we jumped into an actual episode. I know we're going to continue to talk on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live and Video Live. But one of the things that we want to do is present a live version of this podcast to people as we're actually creating the podcast. So if you're ready, I vote we just dive in.
So now we have to get our radio voices on. So we're all ready to do the radio play-by-play on Sales Logic. Hey, Micah, if you're our producer, it's okay. #virtual distance. Mike, if you're ready to kind of play that opening video for us, then we'll go ahead and jump in and do an episode of Sales Logic Podcast.
When we prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
Who has made a prospecting call today?
This is Sales Logic.
Oh, back in the
Meredith,
day
take
when
it
we
away.
could do live events. So welcome to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, we cover the steps, we cover everything that you need to know to solve your biggest sales challenges well logically. I'm Meridith Elliott Powell, and I am here with my co-host,
Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Shall we get into a great show? I think we got some good questions. So, hey,
Yes.
why don't you share the, we're stepping all over. Who really cares? Right. Hey, why don't you share the question?
Actually,
we're going to dig into.
Mark, I am going to dive into the question, but I want you first to tell the audience where the question comes from, why we have a question every week, and kind of the background on that.
Yeah, what we do is saleslogicpodcast.com is where you can go to. And we have a website. We really encourage listeners to leave us a question right there. Or you can just go out to social media and put hashtag Sales Logic out there on social media. And wow, man, I need more coffee. No, maybe I need less coffee. And we're going to grab that question. We grab one each week that we answer. So what we do, the format of the show is we take one question from a listener. We dive into a subject a little deeper, and then we have what we call the lightning round. And we do that all in about 20 to 22 minutes. So Meredith, we got a great question from somebody in Dubai. So why don't you go ahead and read the question?
So this one came to us from LinkedIn, and it's a great question, a really timely question. It says, how do I, or should I, continue to prospect into markets that have been impacted heavily by COVID? And I'm going to assume that this is from Kareem Janith from Dubai. I am going to assume that Kareem means negatively impacted by COVID. So Mark, what do you think? How do I, well, let's tackle first, should I continue to market into, should I continue to sell into markets that have been negatively impacted?
I firmly believe now, unless what you sell can't help them, then no. But if you believe you can help them, you owe it to them to be prospecting. Now, it's going to be probably different if I'm prospecting into the travel industry or something like that. But for many, many industries which have been, hit pretty hard, but not decimated. You need to be selling into them because you have a solution that can help them. We just have to listen. We just have to take more time to listen to them.
Yeah, I would agree. I would also say that I think you need to not believe everything you hear. I mean, a lot of hype is made that markets have been decimated, that they're not doing well. And while that may be blanket truth for the industry in general, there are always companies that are finding their path, that are innovating, that are creating, that are finding the path out. So I think the first step is you need to go back to the 80-20 rule and figure out what 20% of those businesses are doing 80% of the business that is in there. Who's leading the pack and who is going to emerge successful? So power pick who you want to be working, and don't believe everything you hear.
You hit on something very key there, that 80-20 rule. And that's so many times what I hear is people say, well, I called somebody in that industry and they said they're shut down. So that must mean the whole industry shut down. No, that does not mean at all like that. There are people out there in every industry making it happen. And it's our job to really help them get to that next level. So we do need to be prospecting.
Yeah, and I think you set it up really well. I think the first thing you need to do is to tread lightly. I mean, go in there and figure out, do a temperature check. Your first call needs to really be about investing in them and finding out how they're doing and getting a lay of the land on a couple of things. One, is this a prospect that you can sell to? But the other is, even if they're doing well, how you present your products is going to need to be different post this, after we've started this pandemic, because their pain points have shifted. Their sense of urgency on certain things has shifted. And you've got to be able to speak the language that they need. And you're going to learn that from them.
Yeah, time frames have certainly changed during, what was 6-9 month decision-making process can now be done in 2-3 weeks. So again, those are little signals you got to be looking for. Hey, we should jump into the focus today, which is what we really wanted to talk about, which is timely for this period we're in right now. But it's countries slowly opening back up. What does that mean for sales professionals? And what does that mean for sales overall? Wow, I think we could spend probably 3-4 hours here, but we got, about 12 minutes left or something like that? So, hey, What are your thoughts?
Well, what I think it means for sales professionals is I'm crossing my fingers. You're already at the end of the runway and you have spent the last month reaching out and just checking in on customers. But if you have not, that's okay. You still have time. But what you need to do is realize right now we're at the very beginning, right? Not too much movement has happened. So you need to be picking up the phone. You need to be sending emails. You need to be sending videos. You need to be making contact, because as this thing starts to bubble again, it means that people are going to start to buy. As businesses open, as restaurants open, as economies start to get back to normal, they are going to need things from sales professionals. And if you aren't at the door knocking for it, you're going to get passed by.
And that's so true, because we got to keep it simple for the customer. Keep it simple for them to make a decision, because you're right. We're at the end of the runway. We're at the start. However you want to phrase it, the opportunities are going to start rolling. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to see different industries and different areas of the country come back online faster. And so you have to be very careful that do not allow what's happening in one industry to shape your thinking for every industry. Don't allow what one customer says shape your industry, because every geography, every industry is going to be different. But there's something else that has very much changed. People have become very comfortable with Zoom. I mean, Zoom has become the telephone. And we're going to find I've seen a tremendous amount of organizations that took outside salespeople, moved them inside, and now they're really saying, you know what? We may not move them all back outside, because we really are reaching a level of efficiency. So guess what? Don't think what you've been going through for the last 4, 6, 8 weeks is going to change, because it may not. You're going to be in this mode for a long time to come.
Yeah, I think what you're bringing up is a really good a good observation, in the sense that a lot of teams that I've been working with have actually been more productive in this pandemic. Even whether they've been in a hot market or not a hot market, they've made more calls, they've had more meetings, they've done more follow-up. And you really need to be doing that review and say, what's really worked in the last month and a half? What have we done effectively? And what do we need to continue to do? And I do think that it's going to mean less lunches, less selling face to face. Now that will come back, some of it, but how you're doing your prospecting is going to change a lot to be more done from a virtual standpoint.
Yeah, I think you and I are the epitome of traveling salespeople, because we used to both be on the road a tremendous amount, and now we're stuck in our home offices. And I know you and I have compared notes a lot in terms of our respective calendars, but man, it's hard to find an open window in there. And I'm amazed at how many more customers I'm touching every day, how much more effective I am. So I'm kind of saying, do I really want to go back out on the road? I'm sorry, American Airlines. I love you. L92638. Oh, wait a minute. I just about gave out my Advantage number, which I still know by memory. It's okay. I don't know. Traveling is going to look differently.
Yeah, I think another thing that is going to shift is the fact that salespeople are going to have to get better and better and better at virtual. They're going to have to get creative with what they're doing to get customers' attention. People are busy now, and you can no longer not do your research and do your homework. I mean, we've been talking about that for years, but the truth is now people, and for at least for the next year, people aren't going to have time. I mean, they're busy. They're trying to put their businesses back in shape. They're trying to figure out how to transform their own businesses and take it to the next level. And they need help. They need sales and marketing, but they need people who know what they're doing and people who can be helpful with that.
And they're doing it all the while having 2 kids at home that they're trying to quasi homeschool, a spouse that's working at home also, and everything else. So the dynamics have changed, but I think it really comes back to this whole thing of simplicity is going to sell more than ever, and the art of listening is going to sell more important than ever. And you know what? I got a question for you. Do you see referrals and social connections becoming more important or less important?
Oh, I think they're gonna increase quite a bit. In fact, most of the sales professionals that I know that are successful right now are using either social connection. They're going back to either customers or acquaintances that they've had in the past and just connecting and staying visible with them, and or they're going back to their existing customers, adding a lot of value there, and looking to increase their referrals. So I think in a world where I can't right now go to a chamber of business after hours or a trade show and actually meet face to face with somebody, the next best option I've got is for somebody who has some connection to me to make that introduction and let me kind of ride their coattails to open that door.
Wow, you just hit on something there also regarding trade shows, because as we were talking in the pre-show about how trade shows are really just kind of flat out not happening for still 4, 5, 6 more months, depending on where you are. And so that normal ability to get leads and connections by way of a trade show or relying on marketing to get them for you isn't going to be there. And what does that mean?
Right.
We've got to figure it out. We have got to really create. I think sales has to own the prospecting process, the lead generation process, more than ever now.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but they're going to need marketing more than they've ever needed them to basically build the runway, to create the visibility in the marketplace, to help get them above the white noise, to create that value and that market differentiator. I tell you, Mark, the companies that integrate their sales and marketing teams, really get them working together right now, can really build a collaborative effort, are going to be the ones to win. Because this problem of transforming how we're transforming, it's too big for one department. I mean, it's too big for one sales professional. You've got to be collaborating with sales enablement, sales support, the sales team, as well as marketing to really make all of that work together.
That is so true. The integration of the two is more important than ever. And old school styles, because boy, the internet's become noisy. There's so many things out there. So it's the ability of how you break through. And I'm going to come back and you know what? I mean, this is Sales Logic podcast. I love this podcast where we just talk, what's the logical stuff? The telephone. I mean, I know I can't talk to you on any given day when you don't share with me how you've been on the phone making this happen. And what is it? It's a phone call. And I'm the same way. Yeah. It's amazing how the telephone works to create sales.
Well, I mean, you know, getting in the door these days is all about being different, right? It's all about being unique. It's all about getting somebody's attention. And everybody and their brother is going to the video calls. And while the video calls may be the right call to actually get the information and close the deal, you want to differentiate yourself in the marketplace, go back to the telephone. One, nobody's expecting it. The other is people are almost relieved by it. I mean, we're on so many Zoom calls a day, and I swear I think Zoom is more exhausting than just needing people face to face. And so being able to do something a little bit different and just be on the telephone is a great strategy.
I still go back to, I think it was a week ago when you and I said we needed to get together, and we said, let's just do a phone call. And we said, much relieved, just do a phone call. I don't need to do another Zoom call. Zoom fatigue. Zoom fatigue is real. And there is mental health available for it.
Pick up the phone. So, Mark, I think a really good lightning round today would be to maybe go over a few things that sales professionals should be doing right now to position themselves successfully as the marketplace starts to turn back on, as the economy starts to get going. What can they do to either move themselves further down the runway or at least get out of the gate?
I'm going to say increase the number of prospecting calls that you're making, and at the same time, don't forget those existing customers. It's communication right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say that number 2 is that you should be going back to your existing customers. You should go 4 to 5 years deep. You've got a lot of time. You're not on the road. You don't go to lunch with everybody. You can really pound the phones or pound the emails all morning and all day long. So go back and just start out by checking in and getting a temperature check. One of the most powerful things you can do right now is listen to people, because it's in their pain points that you are going to find the opportunities.
I'm going to add to that, even those customers who walked away from you, who left you, maybe they never made a decision to go with you, or they were working with you and they left. We're at a clean slate right now. You go back to March 1st or whatever it was, and that's almost like a generation ago. And so I don't care how badly you might think, oh, we really messed up this relationship. Oh, you don't know. Pick up the phone, make the call, even on those people who left you long ago.
And I'm going to say on those calls, after you do about 10 or 15 of them, go back through your notes and look at the 3 biggest pain points that came out. What are the themes that your customers, your prospects are feeling right now? And then I want you to create something of value to solve those pain points or solve those problems. And it may have something to do with what you sell and what you don't. I'll just give you an example. Both Mark and I have been doing this last couple of weeks. And one of the biggest pain points that that I've gotten from my clients is that they're not really sure how to transition back into work. Do we bring the whole team back? Do we bring people back one at a time? What do we do about the fact that school's not going back, camp won't be in session for the summer? And so I just did some research and created a piece on top 10 things you need to think about and the solutions you need to easily and effectively bring your team back to work and create a productive environment. It's a tool that I created that shows I'm listening to them, that's going to buy the permission to do the sales I need to do.
And I'm going to add in one more here in the lightning round. They've got a couple announcements I want to share with everybody. And that is this whole idea of keeping it simple. Keep what you sell simple. Make it easy for the customer to make a decision to do business with you. And hey, with that, we kind of need to start wrapping up, but you just mentioned something about the research you're doing, because I know you got a new book coming out this fall called Thrive, and you've got a new book out right now, Who Comes Next, with Dr. Mary Kelly. That is I think for business owners, I bought 5 copies, and I've already mailed out 3 of them to business owners, because it is such a key topic right now. And
Well, that one's written with Dr. Mary Kelly, and Who Comes Next, Leadership Succession Made Easy, is effectively how do you build a succession all the way through your organization. And I do think there's never been a better time than now to think about those key positions you have for the sustainability and growth of your business. Do you have the right people in place to take over that? And the book, you can find that on Amazon or find it on the website. But Mark, you've also got a new book out called A Mind for Sales. And if there's ever been a time that you need to wrap your head around your own mindset, it is now. So tell our audience a little bit about your book.
Well, it really is. It's just how do you get the right mindset? Because this whole thing, you can have all the tools, all the skills, but if your head is not right, it's amazing. And right now we're finding this out. This period of time we're in right now is really revealing the fraudulent salespeople. And A Mind for Sales has been, the notes I get back every day from people has been over the top, that it's really helping to change the way they think, the way they act. But hey, we got to let the audience in, because you and I have a little bit of a contest going regarding Amazon reviews. We have a steak dinner on the line as to who gets to 100 first. So, I mean, there's my book, A Mind for Sales. So, hey, you need to leave a review for that. And go ahead and leave a review. Yes, leave a review for the book by Meridith and Dr. Mary Kelly, Who Comes Next. Because we have a little race. We won't reveal the number. But
I'll just say that Mark is winning right now, so I could use a little help.
Hey, back off. Wait a minute. Back off. There's 2 of you, only 1 of me. Okay.
Yeah.
We better
backed up by a team.
Hey, here's the whole thing. You are on our team. You're listening to Sales Logic Podcast, but we need to hear from you. We need your questions.
Yeah.
SalesLogicPodcast.com. Send your question in, or hit us up on social media like Kareem did. He did the one by way of LinkedIn. Just put hashtag SalesLogic, and we'll see it. But with that, we kind of need to start wrapping this show up. So I'm going to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
And we will see you next week on the podcast, live here on Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube, and with any luck, we'll be on LinkedIn soon.